Jacob Dawson stood at the edge of the grand conference room, his hands clasped tightly behind his back. The room was filled with tension so thick it felt like a storm cloud hovering over everyone present. Representatives from nations across Earth had gathered in this high-security facility buried deep beneath the United Nations headquarters. They were there to discuss something no one could have imagined even a decade ago: an ultimatum from an alien empire. The Galactic Empire, as they called themselves, had made contact just weeks earlier. Their message was clear and chilling. Humanity's days of ignorance about life beyond their planet were over. The Empire wanted Earth to surrender its sovereignty and become part of their vast dominion. If Earth refused, the consequences would be catastrophic. It wasn't merely a threat, it was a declaration of intent. Jacob took a deep breath and glanced around the room. He saw fear etched on some faces, determination on others, but uncertainty was universal. These people carried the weight of billions on their shoulders. How do you respond when faced with such overwhelming odds? Jacob knew he had to say something, anything, to break the silence that seemed to suffocate the room. "Listen," he began, his voice steady despite the turmoil swirling inside him. "We've survived wars, plagues, natural disasters, and everything else this world has thrown at us. We've built cities, cured diseases, explored space, and created wonders our ancestors couldn't dream of. Are we really going to roll over because some distant empire tells us to?" His words hung in the air for a moment before murmurs broke out among the delegates. Some nodded in agreement while others exchanged skeptical looks. A woman sitting near the front raised her hand slightly, signaling she wanted to speak. Her name was Laura Hayes, and though she wasn't officially part of the diplomatic corps, she commanded respect. As captain of the United Nations Space Command's flagship Odyssey, she represented humanity's most advanced military asset, and perhaps its only hope against the Empire. "Jacob," Laura said, leaning forward in her chair, "you're right, we can't just give up. But let's not kid ourselves, either. This isn't some small skirmish between countries or even a regional conflict. This is different. These aliens control thousands of worlds. Their technology makes ours look primitive, and if they decide to attack, we're talking about extinction-level events." She paused, letting her words sink in. Then she continued, her tone firm but measured. "But here's what I believe. We don't know everything about them yet. Yes, they're powerful, but power breeds arrogance. Arrogance blinds people, or in this case aliens, to risks they think are impossible. Maybe, just maybe, we can use that against them." Laura's confidence helped ease some of the tension in the room. She spoke with authority, drawing on years of experience commanding starships and leading crews through dangerous missions. When she talked about fighting back, it didn't sound like reckless bravado. It sounded like strategy. Jacob appreciated her perspective. He walked over to the large holographic display set up in the center of the room. With a flick of his wrist, he activated it, projecting images of Earth's secret projects, developments hidden from public knowledge for decades. Ancient alien artifacts discovered under Antarctica had provided clues to technologies far beyond human understanding. Scientists and engineers had worked tirelessly to reverse engineer these findings, creating weapons and defenses unlike anything seen before. "This is why we might stand a chance," Jacob explained, pointing to a sleek design on the screen. It was the Odyssey, Earth's first true star destroyer. Unlike conventional warships, the Odyssey incorporated experimental systems derived from alien tech. Its primary weapon, a quantum singularity cannon, could theoretically obliterate entire fleets with a single shot. Even more impressive was its cloaking device, capable of rendering the massive vessel invisible to enemy sensors. "But remember," Jacob added, turning back to face the group, "these innovations come with risks. The systems haven't been fully tested in combat. Pushing them too hard could mean disaster. Still, I think we all agree that doing nothing is worse than trying and failing." As the meeting dragged on, discussions grew heated. Some argued for immediate retaliation, believing Earth should strike first to catch the Empire off guard. Others advocated caution, insisting that any aggressive move could provoke swift annihilation. Through it all, Laura remained quiet, observing every argument carefully. She understood both sides but knew decisions needed to balance boldness with pragmatism. Finally, after hours of debate, a consensus emerged. Earth wouldn't surrender. Not yet, anyway. Instead, they would prepare for war while keeping communication channels open with the Empire. Diplomacy might still buy them time, though few believed it would prevent conflict altogether. The UNSC would take the lead in organizing Earth's defense, with Laura playing a central role in coordinating military efforts. When the meeting adjourned, Jacob approached Laura as she packed up her notes. "You handled that well," he said, offering a slight smile. "I think you convinced a lot of skeptics today." "I didn't convince anyone," Laura replied, shaking her head. "People want to believe we have a fighting chance. That's not the same thing as being convinced, but thank you for saying so." They shared a brief moment of camaraderie before heading their separate ways. Outside, night had fallen, casting long shadows across the cityscape visible through the reinforced windows. Despite the gravity of the situation, there was a strange sense of unity in the air. For the first time in history, humanity faced a common enemy, one that came not from within but from beyond the stars. Back aboard the Odyssey, docked securely in orbit above Earth, Laura addressed her crew via intercom. She didn't sugarcoat the reality of their situation. "This isn't going to be easy," she admitted. "In fact, it'll probably be the hardest thing any of us has ever done. But we've trained for this. We've prepared for this. Whether we succeed or fail, history will remember us not for how strong our enemies were, but for how brave we were in standing up to them." Her words resonated throughout the ship, bolstering morale among the crew. From engineers working tirelessly in the engine rooms to pilots practicing evasive maneuvers in simulators, each person on board felt a renewed sense of purpose. They weren't just soldiers or technicians anymore. They were defenders of humanity itself. Meanwhile, down on Earth, ordinary citizens began to learn fragments of the truth. News outlets reported rumors of alien contact, sparking panic in some areas and defiance in others. Protesters gathered outside government buildings holding signs that read, "Earth will not bow," and "Stand strong against tyranny." Social media exploded with hashtags supporting resistance against the Empire. Though official statements remained vague, the message was clear. Humanity intended to fight. In the days that followed, preparations accelerated. Factories ramped up production of munitions and supplies. Recruitment drives brought in fresh volunteers, eager to join the UNSC. Scientists worked around the clock to refine the Odyssey's experimental systems, ensuring they'd function properly when needed most. Every sector of society mobilized in unprecedented ways, united by the looming threat. Yet amidst the flurry of activity, questions lingered. Could Earth truly hold its own against an empire spanning countless worlds? What secrets did the aliens possess that humanity hadn't uncovered yet? And perhaps most importantly, what price would victory demand? For now, answers remained elusive. All anyone knew for certain was that the galaxy had changed forever, and humanity's fate rested precariously in the balance. The decision to resist the Galactic Empire's demands sent ripples across Earth. It wasn't just a matter of military strategy, it was a declaration of humanity's spirit. The people of Earth, who had once been fragmented by borders, ideologies, and conflicts, now found themselves united under one cause: survival. News of the Empire's ultimatum spread like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of determination among ordinary citizens. From bustling cities to quiet rural towns, humanity prepared for what might be its greatest challenge yet. Jacob Dawson spent long hours in meetings with leaders from every corner of the globe. The United Nations Space Command, UNSC headquarters, buzzed with activity as representatives debated how best to defend Earth. Resources were pooled, and nations set aside their differences to focus on a common goal. Factories that once produced cars and electronics shifted gears to manufacture weapons, shields, and starship components. Farmers worked overtime to grow food supplies for soldiers and civilians alike. Even children contributed, organizing donation drives to support troops stationed aboard orbital defense platforms. Laura Hayes returned to the Odyssey, her mind racing with plans and contingencies. As captain of Earth's most advanced star destroyer, she bore the weight of responsibility more heavily than anyone else. Her crew looked to her for guidance, and she refused to let them down. She walked the ship's corridors, inspecting every detail, ensuring every system functioned flawlessly. Engineers swarmed around the quantum singularity cannon, running simulations to test its limits. Pilots practiced dogfighting maneuvers in virtual reality simulators, honing their skills against hypothetical enemy fighters. Morale aboard the Odyssey remained high, fueled by the belief that they were fighting not only for themselves but for everyone back home. Meanwhile, Earth's scientists worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the alien artifacts discovered beneath Antarctica. These relics, remnants of an ancient civilization far more advanced than humanity, held the key to Earth's survival. Researchers pored over cryptic symbols etched into metallic surfaces, deciphering instructions for technologies far beyond human comprehension. One breakthrough after another pushed the boundaries of what was possible. Shields grew stronger, engines faster, weapons deadlier. Yet despite these advancements, doubts lingered. Could Earth truly stand toe-to-toe with an empire that had conquered thousands of worlds? Back on the ground, Jacob delivered speeches to rally public support. He traveled from city to city, addressing crowds gathered in parks, stadiums, and town squares. His words carried conviction, painting a picture of hope amidst despair. "We are not alone," he told them. "Together we can achieve the impossible. Together, we will protect our home." People cheered, holding banners emblazoned with slogans like "Earth First" and "No Surrender." Volunteers signed up by the thousands, eager to join the UNSC or contribute however they could. Students skipped classes to help build barricades. Retirees offered their savings to fund the war effort. Humanity had awakened, and its resolve burned brighter than ever. But not everyone shared this optimism. Critics argued that resistance was futile, that Earth stood no chance against the Empire's overwhelming power. Some suggested surrendering now to spare further bloodshed. Others proposed fleeing the planet altogether, seeking refuge on distant moons or uninhabited worlds. Laura dismissed such talk as cowardice. "Running won't save us," she said during a press conference broadcast worldwide. "If we abandon Earth, we abandon everything we've built, everything we are. Our strength lies in standing together." As preparations continued, intelligence reports began trickling in about the Empire's movements. Scouts stationed near Mars detected signs of an approaching fleet. Imperial cruisers, sleek and menacing, drifted silently through the void, their intentions clear. Earth's defenders scrambled to intercept them, knowing full well this would be their first real test. Would the Odyssey live up to its promises, or would it falter under pressure? On board the Odyssey, tension mounted. Crew members double-checked their stations, rehearsing protocols until they became second nature. Laura called a meeting with her senior officers to review battle strategies. "This isn't just any fight," she reminded them. "It's a statement. We need to show the Empire that Earth isn't some easy target. If we win, we buy ourselves time. If we lose—" She didn't finish the sentence. Everyone understood the stakes. When the day finally came, the Odyssey launched from its orbital dock, flanked by smaller escort ships. Its massive frame loomed against the backdrop of space, a symbol of defiance. Laura stood on the bridge, staring out at the vast expanse before her. Stars twinkled faintly in the distance, oblivious to the drama unfolding below. For a moment she allowed herself to feel small, insignificant compared to the infinite cosmos. Then she straightened her posture, reminding herself why she was here. This wasn't about her. It was about Earth. The Imperial fleet appeared on sensors moments later, 3 cruisers advancing steadily toward Mars. Their hulls gleamed ominously, bristling with weaponry. Laura gave the order to engage, her voice calm but firm. The Odyssey surged forward, engines roaring as it closed the gap. Enemy ships opened fire first, unleashing barrages of plasma bolts that streaked across the void. Defensive shields absorbed the impacts, holding steady despite the onslaught. Return fire erupted from the Odyssey, targeting the lead cruiser with precision. For several tense minutes, the battle raged. Lasers crisscrossed the darkness, explosions illuminated the void, and debris floated aimlessly where once mighty vessels had sailed. The Odyssey maneuvered gracefully, dodging incoming fire while delivering devastating blows. Finally, Laura made her move. "Activate the singularity cannon," she commanded. Engineers rushed to comply, charging the weapon to its maximum capacity. When ready, Laura locked onto the nearest cruiser and fired. A blinding flash erupted as the quantum singularity tore through space, ripping apart the enemy ship in an instant. Debris scattered in all directions, leaving behind a smoldering wreck. Shock rippled through the remaining Imperial forces, who quickly realized they were facing something unexpected. Before they could regroup, the Odyssey targeted another cruiser, obliterating it with another blast from the cannon. The third ship retreated hastily, unwilling to risk annihilation. Cheers erupted aboard the Odyssey as news of the victory spread. Laura allowed herself a brief smile before turning serious again. "Don't get too comfortable," she warned her crew. "This was just the beginning. They'll be back, with reinforcements." Down on Earth, celebrations broke out. Cities, lit up with fireworks, streets filled with jubilant crowds, and social media overflowed with messages of pride and gratitude. Jacob watched the festivities unfold on television, feeling a mix of relief and unease. While the victory proved Earth's potential, it also marked the start of a larger conflict. The Empire wouldn't take this humiliation lightly. Retaliation was inevitable, and likely brutal. Still, for now, humanity had reason to hope. Against all odds, they had struck a blow against an oppressor thought invincible. The Odyssey had proven itself not merely as a machine, but as a beacon of resilience. And though challenges lay ahead, one truth remained undeniable. Earth had shown it would not kneel without a fight. In the days following the battle, Earth doubled down on its efforts. More recruits joined the UNSC, factories operated non-stop, and scientists pushed harder than ever to refine their innovations. Laura and her crew conducted debriefings, analyzing every aspect of the engagement to improve future performance. Jacob coordinated diplomatic outreach, reaching out to neutral factions within the galaxy in hopes of forging alliances. Each step forward brought new challenges but also renewed determination. Humanity's resolve had been tested, and so far it had held firm. But the road ahead promised to be long and perilous. The Empire's response would come soon enough, and when it did, Earth would need to be ready. Until then, the planet stood united, its people inspired by the knowledge that even the smallest spark could ignite a fire capable of challenging the stars themselves. The victory near Mars was a moment of triumph for Earth, but it also marked the beginning of a new and graver chapter. The Galactic Empire, which had long viewed humanity as insignificant, now saw Earth as a threat that needed to be crushed. News of the battle traveled fast through the Empire's vast communication network, reaching the ears of its leaders within hours. Admiral Grayson, a ruthless commander known for his brutal tactics, was summoned by the Emperor himself. His orders were clear: obliterate Earth's defenses and remind the galaxy why the Empire ruled supreme. Back aboard the Odyssey, Laura Hayes and her crew celebrated their success briefly before returning to work. They knew better than to let their guard down. The destruction of 2 Imperial cruisers had been a morale boost, but it came at a cost. The quantum singularity cannon required immense energy to operate, leaving the ship vulnerable during recharge cycles. Shields had taken significant strain, and repairs were underway to patch damage sustained during the fight. Engineers worked tirelessly in the engine rooms, ensuring every system remained functional for the battles ahead. Laura gathered her senior officers on the bridge for a debriefing. "We caught them off guard," she said, pacing slowly as she addressed her team. "But they'll learn from this, Next time, they'll come prepared, and in greater numbers. Her words carried a sobering weight. The crew nodded in agreement, their expressions serious. Victory had bought them time, but it hadn't solved the larger problem. The Empire controlled thousands of worlds and possessed resources beyond imagination. Earth's chances of winning a prolonged war seemed slim at best. Meanwhile, Jacob Dawson worked tirelessly to rally international support. He traveled across continents, meeting with world leaders and addressing crowds eager to hear his message. This isn't just about Earth, he told them. It's about freedom. If we bow to the Empire now, what happens when they turn their attention to other civilizations? Will anyone stand against them then? His speeches resonated deeply, inspiring unity among nations that had once been divided by politics and greed. Factories churned out weapons and supplies, while volunteers poured into training camps to join the United Nations Space Command, UNSC. But even as humanity prepared for war, whispers of dissent began to surface. Some argued that resisting the Empire was futile, that surrender might save lives in the long run. Others feared the environmental and economic toll of prolonged conflict. Laura understood these concerns but refused to entertain them. If we give up now, she said during a press conference, we lose everything. Not just our planet, but our dignity, our future. I won't let that happen. As tensions escalated, intelligence reports revealed troubling news. The Empire wasn't content to wait. It was already mobilizing reinforcements. Scouts stationed near Jupiter detected signs of activity, dozens of ships massing at key locations throughout the solar system. It became clear that the next attack would be far more devastating than the first. Laura ordered increased patrols around Earth's orbit, ensuring no enemy vessel slipped past unnoticed. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers day and night, preparing for the inevitable clash. Amidst these preparations, Daniel Carter sat hunched over a computer terminal deep within the UNSC headquarters. A skilled hacker with a knack for cracking codes, Daniel had been tasked with infiltrating the Empire's communication networks. His goal was simple yet daunting: gather intel on their plans and find weaknesses Earth could exploit. Beside him sat Emily Ross, a former Marine-turned-intelligence operative. Her sharp instincts and combat experience made her an invaluable asset to the mission. "Anything useful?" Emily asked, leaning over Daniel's shoulder as lines of code scrolled across the screen. "Not yet," Daniel replied, frustration creeping into his voice. "Their encryption is insane. Whoever designed this system knew what they were doing." Emily frowned. "Keep trying. We don't have much time." Hours turned into days as Daniel worked relentlessly, sifting through endless streams of data. Finally, late one night, he stumbled upon something promising. Buried within layers of encrypted files was a set of coordinates, locations where the Empire planned to deploy additional forces. More importantly, he uncovered details about a critical relay station orbiting Saturn. This station served as a hub for the Empire's hyperspace communications, allowing them to coordinate attacks across vast distances. If Earth could disable it, they might disrupt the flow of reinforcements heading toward Earth. Jacob wasted no time acting on the discovery. He called an emergency meeting with Laura and her senior staff to discuss options. "We can't take on their entire fleet head-on," he explained. "But if we hit this relay station, we might buy ourselves enough time to prepare." Laura studied the map projected on the holoscreen, her brow furrowed in thought. "It's risky," she admitted. "They'll have heavy defenses guarding something this important, but you're right, it's worth considering." After much deliberation, they devised a plan. A small strike team would infiltrate the relay station using stolen Imperial codes Daniel had uncovered. Their mission: sabotage the facility without alerting the Empire to their presence. Once inside, they would plant explosives and escape before detonating the charges remotely. Speed and stealth would be crucial. Any misstep could mean capture, or worse. Daniel and Emily volunteered immediately, knowing the risks involved. "I've spent months studying their systems," Daniel said. "If anyone can pull this off, it's us." Laura hesitated, weighing the dangers. She trusted both operatives, but couldn't ignore the odds stacked against them. "You'll need backup," she said finally. "Take a squad of Marines with you, just in case things go south." Preparations for the mission moved quickly. Supplies were gathered, equipment checked, and escape routes mapped out. The team practiced drills repeatedly, simulating every possible scenario they might encounter. As launch day approached, nerves ran high. Everyone understood the stakes. Failure meant certain doom for Earth. On the eve of departure, Laura met privately with Daniel and Emily. "I'm not going to lie to you," she said, her tone grave. "This is dangerous. If you're caught, there's no rescue coming. You'll have to rely on yourselves and each other." "We know," Emily replied, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We'll get it done." Daniel nodded in agreement. For Earth. With those words, the strike team boarded a cloaked shuttle and launched into the void. Their destination: Saturn's rings, home to the Empire's relay station. As they approached, tension mounted. Sensors picked up signs of enemy patrols, forcing the pilot to navigate carefully to avoid detection. Cloaking technology kept them hidden, for now, but one wrong move could expose their position. When they reached the station, Daniel hacked into its external systems, disabling security protocols long enough for the team to slip inside. Moving silently through dimly lit corridors, they planted explosives at key junctions. Alarms blared suddenly, startling everyone. Someone or something had triggered a failsafe mechanism. "This way," Emily shouted, leading the group toward an emergency exit. Behind them, Imperial guards closed in, firing plasma rifles that lit up the narrow passageways. Chaos erupted as the team fought back, using cover to return fire while retreating toward their shuttle. By the time they reached safety, adrenaline coursed through their veins. From a safe distance, Daniel activated the remote detonator. A brilliant explosion engulfed the relay station, sending shockwaves rippling through space. Cheers erupted aboard the shuttle as the team realized their mission had succeeded. Back on Earth, news of the sabotage spread quickly. The Empire's reinforcements were delayed, giving humanity precious time to fortify its defenses. Celebrations broke out once again, though Laura remained cautious. "This buys us breathing room," she told her crew. "But it doesn't win the war." Still, the victory proved something vital. Earth wasn't powerless. Against overwhelming odds, humanity had struck another blow, one that sent a clear message to the Empire. Earth would fight, tooth and nail, for its survival. And as long as people like Laura, Jacob, Daniel, and Emily stood ready to defend their home, hope remained alive. In the days that followed, Earth doubled down on its efforts. New recruits joined the UNSC, factories produced weapons at record speeds, and scientists pushed harder than ever to refine their innovations. Humanity's resolve had been tested, and so far it had held firm. But the Empire wouldn't stay silent for long. Retaliation loomed on the horizon, darker and deadlier than before. Until then, Earth braced itself, united by a shared determination to protect its future. The sabotage of the Empire's relay station near Saturn was a daring success, but it came at a cost. The strike team barely escaped with their lives, and the mission left them shaken. Daniel Carter and Emily Ross returned to Earth physically, unharmed but mentally drained. They had seen the Empire's ruthlessness firsthand, their soldiers' efficiency, their technology's precision, and their willingness to sacrifice anything to achieve their goals. Though the relay station's destruction delayed reinforcements heading toward Earth, it also served as a wake-up call. The Galactic Empire would not tolerate defiance lightly. Laura Hayes welcomed the team back aboard the Odyssey with a mixture of pride and concern. She knew the risks they had taken and understood that such missions could not become routine. "You did good," she told them in private, her tone soft but firm. "But don't think for a second this buys us more than time. The Empire will retaliate harder next time." Jacob Dawson echoed Laura's sentiments during a meeting with Earth's leaders. "This victory is important, yes," he said, standing before a room filled with diplomats and military officials. "But we can't afford to grow complacent. Every move we make will be met with greater force. We need to think bigger, bolder, if we're going to survive." One idea began circulating among the group: forging alliances beyond Earth. Humanity couldn't face the Empire alone. They needed help from others who shared their desire for freedom. Jacob proposed sending envoys to distant systems, seeking out rebel factions or neutral planets willing to oppose the Empire. It was a risky plan. Traveling through Imperial-controlled space meant running into patrols or worse, but it might be Earth's only chance to tip the scales in their favor. Laura supported the idea, though she voiced concerns about stretching. Earth's already limited resources too thin. We can spare one ship, she suggested. Maybe two if absolutely necessary. But any more than that, and we risk leaving Earth undefended. After much debate, the decision was made. A small diplomatic team, led by Jacob himself, would venture into the outer rim of the galaxy. Their goal was simple yet ambitious. Find allies who could provide aid, intelligence, or even direct military support against the Empire. Accompanying Jacob would be a crew of trusted officers, including Daniel and Emily, whose experience infiltrating Imperial systems made them invaluable assets. Preparations for the journey began immediately. The UNSC assigned a fast, agile frigate, named the Eclipse, to the mission. Unlike the massive Odyssey, the Eclipse was designed for stealth and speed, capable of slipping past enemy sensors undetected. Its crew worked tirelessly to equip the vessel with advanced cloaking technology and long-range communication arrays. Supplies were loaded, weapons checked, and escape routes meticulously planned. As launch day approached, tensions ran high. The Eclipse's captain, a seasoned officer named Marcus Lane, addressed his crew during a final briefing. "This isn't just another patrol," he said, pacing slowly as he spoke. "We're stepping into unknown territory. The Empire controls most of the galaxy, but there are still pockets of resistance, people who hate them as much as we do. Our job is to find those people and bring them back to our side." Marcus's words carried weight. He was a man of few words but immense experience, having spent years navigating treacherous regions of space. His calm demeanor inspired confidence, even in uncertain times. Jacob appreciated his leadership style, knowing full well that diplomacy often required patience and tact, qualities Marcus possessed in abundance. Finally, the day arrived. The Eclipse launched from Earth's orbit under the cover of darkness, its engines humming softly as it slipped away from prying eyes. Inside, the mood was tense but focused. Jacob sat in the command center alongside Marcus, reviewing star charts and plotting courses through Imperial-controlled sectors. Daniel and Emily monitored sensor readings, ensuring no enemy ships lurked nearby. Everyone aboard understood the stakes. Failure meant not only their deaths, but potentially Earth's downfall. For days, the Eclipse drifted silently through the void, avoiding major trade routes and staying clear of Imperial outposts. When they finally reached the outer rim, a lawless expanse teeming with smugglers, mercenaries, and rogue colonies, they began broadcasting coded messages on frequencies known to attract rebels. Hours turned into days with no response, testing the crew's resolve. Just as hope began to wane, a signal crackled over the comms. "Who dares enter Free Systems Coalition airspace?" a gruff voice demanded. Jacob leaned forward, his heart racing. "This is Jacob Dawson of Earth's United Nations Space Command," he replied. "We seek an audience with your leader. Humanity stands united against the Galactic Empire, and we believe together we can achieve victory." There was a long pause before the voice responded. "Hold your position. You'll receive further instructions shortly." Moments later, a squadron of fighter ships emerged from behind a nearby asteroid belt, surrounding the Eclipse. Weapons charged but remained inactive, signaling caution rather than hostility. Marcus ordered his crew to stand down, resisting the urge to retaliate. After what felt like an eternity, the fighters escorted the Eclipse to a hidden base nestled within the hollowed-out core of a dead moon. Inside the base, Jacob and his team were greeted by representatives of the Free Systems Coalition, a loose alliance of planets, colonies, and independent factions united by their hatred of the Empire. Their leader, a fiery woman named Sarah Blake, wasted no time getting to the point. "Why should we trust you?" she asked, her sharp gaze fixed on Jacob. Earth has done nothing to oppose the Empire until now. What makes you think you're ready to fight? Jacob took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. Because we have no choice, he said. The Empire sees Earth as weak, insignificant. They underestimated us once and we proved them wrong. But we can't win this war alone. We need allies. People like you who understand what's at stake. Sarah studied him for a moment before nodding slightly. Fair enough. Tell me what you're offering. Over the next several hours, Jacob outlined Earth's capabilities, the Odyssey's experimental weaponry, the advancements derived from alien artifacts, and humanity's unwavering determination to resist. In return, he requested aid in the Iauir form of supplies, intelligence, and possibly troops. Sarah listened intently, occasionally exchanging glances with her advisors. Finally, she leaned back in her chair, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. You drive a hard bargain, Dawson, she said, but I admire your courage. Very well, we'll help you, on one condition. What's that? Jacob asked, wary of potential traps. That Earth commits to freeing occupied territories once the Empire falls, Sarah replied. We're not fighting just for survival. We're fighting for freedom, for everyone. Jacob hesitated briefly before nodding. Agreed. With the alliance secured, preparations for joint operations began. The coalition provided the Eclipse with detailed maps of Imperial installations, identifying weak points Earth could exploit. They also supplied additional ships and volunteers eager to join the fight. For the first time since the Empire's arrival, humanity had genuine allies, people willing to stand shoulder to shoulder in the face of tyranny. Back aboard the Eclipse, the crew celebrated quietly, knowing the hardest battles still lay ahead. As they prepared to return to Earth, Jacob reflected on the journey so far. Humanity had faced countless challenges, yet it had persevered. From the initial ultimatum to the sabotage of the relay station, every step had been fraught with danger. Now, with the coalition's support, Earth stood a better chance of surviving the Empire's wrath. But as the Eclipse departed the hidden base, a shadow loomed on the horizon. Unbeknownst to the crew, an Imperial spy embedded within the coalition had transmitted their coordinates to Admiral Grayson. The Empire's forces were mobilizing, preparing to strike where it hurt most: Earth itself. Though unaware of the impending threat, Laura Hayes aboard the Odyssey remained vigilant. She knew the Empire wouldn't stay silent forever. Reports of increased activity near Jupiter confirmed her suspicions. Reinforcements were coming, and this time they wouldn't hold back. Earth's defenders braced themselves, ready to face whatever horrors awaited them. Humanity's resolve had been tested repeatedly, and each time it had held firm. But the greatest trial was yet to come. As the galaxy watched, Earth prepared to unleash its full fury, a wrath born not of hatred but of love for a home worth defending. The Eclipse raced back toward Earth, its crew filled with a mix of triumph and unease. The alliance with the Free Systems Coalition was a monumental achievement, but the shadow of the Empire loomed larger than ever. Jacob Dawson stood on the bridge, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. His mind replayed Sarah Blake's words. We're not fighting just for survival. We're fighting for freedom, for everyone. It was a powerful sentiment, one that resonated deeply with him. Yet, as he looked at the faces of his crew, Daniel Carter typing furiously at a console, Emily Ross checking weapon systems, he couldn't shake the feeling that their victory might be short-lived. Unbeknownst to them, an Imperial spy had already relayed their location to Admiral Grayson. The Empire's forces were mobilizing, preparing for a strike that would test Earth's defenses like never before. Back aboard the Odyssey, Laura Hayes felt it in her bones. Something was coming. A storm far worse than anything they'd faced so far. She paced the ship's command center, reviewing sensor data and intelligence reports. Every sign pointed to trouble brewing near Jupiter. Imperial ships were massing, their movements deliberate and calculated. Laura knew it wouldn't be long before they launched their assault. Meanwhile, Earth scrambled to prepare. Factories worked around the clock, producing weapons, shields, and supplies. Volunteers poured into training camps, eager to join the fight. Civilians rallied together, organizing donation drives and community support programs for soldiers' families. Humanity had united under a single cause, but unity alone wouldn't be enough to withstand the Empire's full might. Laura understood this better than anyone. She called a meeting with her senior officers to discuss strategy. "We can't rely solely on brute force," she said, pacing slowly as she addressed her team. "Their numbers are too great, their resources too vast. We need to think smarter, not harder." Her words sparked a lively debate among the crew. Some argued for fortifying Earth's orbit, creating layers of defense to slow down the enemy advance. Others suggested launching preemptive strikes against key Imperial targets, hoping to cripple their ability to coordinate attacks. After hours of discussion, they settled on a hybrid approach, strengthening orbital defenses while sending smaller strike teams to harass the Empire's supply lines and communications networks. As preparations continued, Daniel and Emily returned to Earth alongside Jacob. Their mission to secure the Coalition's support had succeeded beyond expectations, but now they faced a new challenge. The Empire's spies had infiltrated even the most trusted factions, proving that no one could be completely safe. Jacob briefed Laura and her staff on the details of their agreement with the Coalition, emphasizing the importance of maintaining secrecy. "If the Empire learns about our alliance," he warned, "they'll target the Coalition next. We can't let that happen." Laura nodded grimly. "Then we'll have to act fast, and quietly." The days leading up to the Empire's attack were tense. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers in simulators. Engineers fine-tuned the Odyssey's quantum. Singularity cannon and ground troops drilled tirelessly. Despite the chaos, there was a sense of purpose in the air. People understood what was at stake. Not just their lives, but the future of humanity itself. Even those who had once doubted Earth's chances now believed in the possibility of victory. Finally, the day arrived. Imperial fleets emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter, their massive ships blotting out the light of the distant sun. Dozens of cruisers and destroyers formed a tight formation, flanked by swarms of fighter craft. At their center floated Admiral Grayson's flagship, a behemoth bristling with weaponry. Its presence sent a clear message. This wasn't just an invasion, it was annihilation. On board the Odyssey, alarms blared as sensors detected the approaching armada. Laura wasted no time issuing orders. "Raise shields," she commanded. "Charge the singularity cannon. All hands to battle stations." The crew sprang into action, moving with precision honed through weeks of preparation. Pilots scrambled to their fighters, engines roaring as they launched into space. Gunners manned turrets, their fingers hovering over triggers. Engineers monitored power levels, ensuring every system functioned flawlessly. Laura stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holoscreen displaying the enemy fleet. Her voice remained calm, though her heart pounded in her chest. "Remember," she said, addressing her crew over the intercom, "this isn't just about us. It's about Earth, about everyone counting on us to hold the line." The battle began with a deafening roar as Imperial ships opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked across the void, slamming into Earth's orbital defenses. Shields absorbed the impacts, holding steady despite the relentless barrage. Return fire erupted from the Odyssey and its escorts, targeting the enemy's lead vessels. Explosions lit up the darkness as ships on both sides exchanged blows. For several tense minutes, the outcome hung in the balance. The Odyssey maneuvered gracefully, dodging incoming fire while delivering devastating counterattacks. Laura ordered her pilots to focus on the smaller ships, thinning the Empire's ranks and creating gaps in their formation. Meanwhile, strike. Teams led by Daniel and Emily infiltrate the enemy's rear flank, disabling supply transports and cutting off reinforcements. Despite their efforts, the tide began to turn. The sheer number of Imperial ships overwhelmed Earth's defenders, forcing them to fall back. Laura realized they needed to take drastic measures if they hoped to survive. "Target Grayson's flagship," she ordered. "Use the singularity cannon." Engineers rushed to comply, charging the weapon to its maximum capacity. When ready, Laura locked onto the massive vessel and fired. A blinding flash erupted as the quantum singularity tore through space, ripping apart Grayson's flagship. In an instant, debris scattered in all directions, leaving behind a smoldering wreck. Shock rippled through the remaining Imperial forces, who quickly regrouped and retreated. Cheers erupted aboard the Odyssey as news of the victory spread. Laura allowed herself a brief smile before turning serious again. "Don't get too comfortable," she warned her crew. "This was just the beginning. They'll be back with reinforcements." Down on Earth, celebrations broke out once more. Cities lit up with fireworks, streets filled with jubilant crowds, and social media overflowed with messages of pride and gratitude. Jacob watched the festivities unfold on television, feeling a mix of relief and unease. While the victory proved Earth's resilience, it also marked the start of a larger conflict. The Empire wouldn't take this humiliation lightly. Retaliation was inevitable, and likely brutal. Still, for now, humanity had reason to hope. Against all odds, they had struck another blow against an oppressor thought invincible. The Odyssey had proven itself not merely as a machine, but as a beacon of defiance. And though challenges lay ahead, one truth remained undeniable. Earth had shown it would not kneel without a fight. In the days following the battle, Earth doubled down on its efforts. More recruits joined the UNSC, factories operated non-stop, and scientists pushed harder than ever to refine their innovations. Laura and her crew conducted debriefings, analyzing every aspect of the engagement to improve future performance. Jacob coordinated diplomatic outreach, reaching out to neutral factions within the galaxy in hopes of forging additional alliances. Each step forward brought new challenges, but also renewed determination. Humanity's resolve had been tested, and, so far, it had held firm. But the road ahead promised to be long and perilous. The Empire's response would come soon enough, and when it did, Earth would need to be ready. Until then, the planet stood united, its people inspired by the knowledge that even the smallest spark could ignite a fire capable of challenging the stars themselves. As the galaxy watched, Earth prepared to unleash its full fury, a wrath born not of hatred, but of love for a home worth defending.